property of the estate of Didito GACHAGUA that is referred to as Kuruwitu, and I think you have adduced the list of the directors. In your submissions, you said that the only one person who is an executor and is a beneficiary would be Deputy President Riggy GACHAGUA. In that will, did you see that part of the people who are beneficiaries are the executors? So one of the three, or all the three executors are also beneficiaries. And in the regards to what you have adduced in the Kuruwitu property, it is actually one of the executors, not the Deputy President, who actually bought that particular property.
Senator Christella Sige.
Thank you so much, Speaker. I'm very, very glad that the Bible has been cited, because I have a couple of verses of my own I would like to also start my contribution with. I take it to Proverbs 17, which I just read yesterday, in fact, Speaker, which say in 14 and 15. 14 says, "Starting a quarrel is like breaching a dam, so drop the matter before a dispute breaks out." 15, "Acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, the Lord detests them both." And I'd like to maybe insert, instead of the Lord, I would like to insert the Senate, detests them both, and we have a very upward hill task. My question goes to the witness. In his motion, he has used the Oxford Advanced Dictionary to define gross misconduct. I was just curious to find out why the Oxford Dictionary and not maybe a relevant Kenyan law that defines, if he has one, or perhaps Black's Law Dictionary, which I know all legal counsels also rely upon. Thank you.
Senator Gataya, more fire.
Speaker, I want to seek clarification from the council for the Deputy President. I have seen parade photos and utterances for His Excellency the President. I need to get the relationship between what is before us and the President for this matter. So can he please explain what is the relationship between what he has paraded for the President and what is before us as a House?
Senator Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My questions directed to Mheshimiwa Mutuse. Welcome to the Senate, the upper house. And my question is, you said the Deputy President is tribal because he spoke Kikuyu in Nairobi. Are you aware of Article 7 of the Constitution that says the state should promote local languages? Are you also aware of Article 27 that says no one should be discriminated on the language they speak? Are you also aware of Article 44 of the Constitution that says that every person has the right to use the language of their choice? But again, would you make the same complaint if he spoke in sign language? The next question is, the Deputy President has been talking about shares in government, serikali, which we have been shown that the shareholding and the shares were signed by the government officials who are in government. He never talked about the nation, which is Taifa, shareholding of the country. So I would want you to tell me whether you know the difference between the two. And lastly, you have given us a lot of documents, even bank statements, and even payment vouchers. I know you as Honorable Member of Parliament, not necessarily a government agency. How did you access these documents? Yet you know the Supreme Court of Kenya has indicated it is wrong to steal evidence or to unlawfully obtain evidence. We would want you to give us that indication. And also, you said the Deputy President was in a company of senators in Nairobi County. I was actually one of them. Kindly refer to Article 96 of the Constitution.
Senator Moses Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, my clarification is on paragraph 47 on the charge sheet. The National Assembly alleges that the Deputy President has several proxy companies, and one of them is Agrobrick Investment Limited. In paragraph 48, the National Assembly alleges that Bhavika Nathalal Hirani is a proxy of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua. Could the National Assembly provide some evidence, because ground 7 is framed as serious reasons to believe that the Deputy President has committed a crime? Could there be some evidence to convince the House that there could be reasons to believe so? Finally, on paragraph 74, the National Assembly alleges that the Deputy President has openly sabotaged the state's efforts in agriculture. Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of the Agriculture Committee, and I would be interested to get the evidence that there's been connivance, there's been cartelism, and there's been an association between the Deputy President with the cartels that have frustrated the development of the tea sector. Because the tea sector goes beyond the mountain, it goes all the way to Kisii and areas that neighbor Homa Bay County. And finally, which is this cooperative society whose name has been withheld? Could that information be provided to the Senate? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My clarification is to His Excellency, the Deputy President, on the issue of the property of the deceased. My question is, does the deceased have any children? Are they of sound mind? And because it appears as though they are not involved in any of the management of the estate of the deceased, and that is the big question, and possibly a clarity that we would like to have from you. Thank you.
Senator Okongo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to seek clarification on what is at page 15, paragraph 41. There is the allegation being made that in the past 2 years, His Excellency the President has amassed a humongous property portfolio estimated at 5.2 billion. I was trying to follow your answers during cross-examination, and I don't know whether you were trying to drop this allegation or if you want to still maintain it. I want you to give a proper clarification that links the person against whom you have brought the motion, that is the Deputy President, with that allegation of 5.2 billion. I didn't quite see you make a clear clarification in support of that allegation. If you could kindly clarify for me. Thank you.
Senator Murango.
Asante sana Mstahiki Spika. Ningetaka kumuuliza Mheshimiwa Mutuse kwa sababu kampuni nyingi ambazo ameorodhesha pale kama ushahidi kwamba ni za watoto wake naibu wa rais Rigathi Gachagua. Wewe kwa sababu umesema umefanya kazi kama wakili, lazima ulikuwa unafanya kazi kupitia kampuni. Ilikuwa ni kwa ajili ya ulaghai ukiwa na bambako, kama wale watoto ambao wameorodhesha pale wote walitengeneza kampuni ili kulaghai pesa kupitisha zile kampuni. Swali langu la pili ni kwamba katika stakabadhi ambazo zimeletwa pale zinaonyesha kwamba waliokuwa wanafaa kupata mgao wa shares katika kampuni, kuna wale walikuwa wanafaa kupata 30%, na ile miradi ilikuwa inafaa kwenda Western Kenya, haikuwa imeorodheshwa kunja Nairobi mahali pale pengine popote. Unasikia kwamba ulikuwa umegatuliwa kwa sababu umetoka Makueni na ile miradi haikuwa inakuja Makueni. Asante sana Mstahiki Speaker.
Senator Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, unfortunately I hear that the Bible verses have been exhausted. But I seek a clarification from my friend, Counsel Macharia, who has helped me to understand complex legal issues before. Counsel, because you have presented a coalition agreement to explain this issue of shareholding, where does that coalition agreement leave members of political parties that are not signatories to the Kenya Kwanza agreements? That is the first question I would want clarification to. Number two, what would be the place of a coalition agreement that is manifestly unconstitutional or illegal? And the page that you referred us to includes securing positions that are supposed to be competitively filled. For instance, the position of permanent secretaries. Is it your position that in fact these advertisements that we see in the newspapers are just a charade to cover up things that have already been concluded in coalition agreements such as the Kenya Kwanza agreement that you have exhibited here? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Mundigi.
Asante, Bwana Spika. Swali langu ni kwa Mheshimiwa Mutuse. Wakati Deputy President kunasemekana aliongea ubaya wa Jaji Maina, ndio tuweze kuangalia kuna njia yoyote, kwa sababu kila mtu ako na uhuru ya kwenda kotini ama kuita wazee ama kutumana. Kuna kitu Jaji Maina alifanya ndio tuweze kuelewa juu ya vile Deputy President aliongea ubaya wa jaji wa huyu jaji. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator for Kilifi.
Asante Mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, niko na swala kwa kutaka kufafanuliwa na wakili wa naibu rais. Katika kosa la kwanza lile ambalo lilikuwa limeandikwa gross violation, iko katika kipengele cha 15 katika hii particulars of allegations, kinasema kwamba mimi mnajua msimamo wangu ya kwamba watoto wakiwa wengi kuna wale kwanza akuangaliwa, si mnajua? Alafu anaendelea kuongea kwamba chakula iko jikoni karibu kuiva, watoto ni wengi, chakula ni kidogo, iko na watoto ya nyumbani na iko na watoto wa jirani, iko namna hiyo. Nataka afafanue Kiswahili hichi kinamaanisha nini kutoka kwa huyo client wake. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, allow the parties to respond to those clarifications, starting with the team from the National Assembly, and then we move to the team from the Deputy President. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I may, the Honorable Senator Ososi had no question directed to me. Senator Nyutu, what led me to audit the wealth of the Deputy President? I'm just doing my work as a Member of Parliament under Article 94 and 95 of the Constitution. Part of my work is to oversight state officers. The Deputy President is one such state officer. I set myself to draft and present an impeachment motion, and I needed to support that impeachment motion with information. Nothing else. Why didn't I also audit the President? I was not intending to bring an impeachment motion against the President. If in future another member wants to bring an impeachment motion against the President, I believe they will be at liberty to also do their work in the manner they deem. Who did this particular motion? Yours truly speaking before you, Mwengi Mutuse, the Member of Parliament for Kibwezi West, did the particular motion. You have listed several companies. Yes, indeed, we have listed several companies. And just to clarify, there are those companies that I was led by advocates for His Excellency Riggy GACHAGUA, and I said we have no problem with them. But also, there are companies that we have issues with, and we have stated the companies that we have issues with. And you would know, because you have handled impeachment motions in the past, that just because we do not have an issue with one particular company does not mean that those that we have been proved also fall with it. But also importantly, why we listed these companies is also to demonstrate character. Character in the sense that if you have one company that is a construction company, then why do you have 3 others that are dormant? Why don't you use just that one that is a construction company to do your construction work? So it was also to demonstrate a web, an intricate web of activity to hide and conceal. And that's why we listed those companies. The affidavit of Jomo, it did not complete because it was time barred, so I do not know what to respond because he just began mentioning about the affidavit of Jomo. Senator Professor Ojambo, Senator for Kisumu, shareholding of the 22 companies. Yes, we have appended the CR12s for the 22 companies to show that His Excellency the Deputy President has been owning what we are calling special purpose vehicles in the name of companies, either by himself or by his children or other proxies, as part of a character of a web, which is also consistent with the Esther Minor decision, and you can see those companies listed in the Esther Minor decision that are not consistent with the normal way of doing business. Because in the normal way of doing business, you would imagine if, for example, Safaricom, that is a telecommunication company, also under it had another 20 other telecommunication companies. For what purpose? You would ordinarily, a business person would concentrate on one company, it succeeds. Then if you have a different investment that is completely different from what you are doing, is when you open a different company. But all these companies, you look at their objects, you look at everything, they are all made to do the same thing. The question is why? And remember, the offense here is reasons to believe that the Deputy President has committed crimes. And we believe this is a good basis to show that these companies are not formed for a legitimate purpose. Senator, in terms of Vipingo and Olive Gardens, Vipingo Ridge, we have been able to demonstrate that His Excellency Riggy GACHAGUA's children are part of the directors, 2 of them. In terms of Olive Gardens, we have been able to demonstrate through the affidavit of Mr. Jomo that Mr. Jomo indeed was acting for the Deputy President in the purchase. And as much as we refer to a future promise of refund, all of us would know that offenses of corruption and money laundering are not straightforward offenses. And as much as we want to rely on technicality, and it is this technicality that has made it impossible to fight corruption in this country, if we look at it and all of us know how these things have been done, you would definitely see that Mr. Jomo is saying in black and white that he was a conduit for that purchase. We go to the Honorable Senator Mungatana, Senator for Tana River. Haki za mlima kama nilijisi kubaguliwa. Na nafikiri ni kweli kwamba watu ambao nawakilisha na mimi mwenyewe pia na Wakenya wengi wanajihisi kwamba kama naibu wa rais ambaye anahitajika kuongea kuhusu masuala ya Kenya mzima, atazingatia tu masuala ya sehemu fulani, basi wale Wakenya wengine wote nikiwa ndani tunajihisi kubaguliwa. Na sio tu, hata wale ambao wametoka sehemu tofauti na mlima, hata wale wa mlima pia wao, you setting them against the rest of Kenyans. Senator Enoch, Exodus 23, thank you. I will keep it to myself. But I am not participating in any conspiracy against anyone. I am just doing my civic duty as a citizen of the Republic of Kenya and exercising my mandate as a member of the National Assembly, which is a constitutional mandate. I believe senators here also have done in the past, and even now and in the future, they will also bring issues in line with their mandate, in line with their responsibilities as citizens of the Republic of Kenya. Is this motion your own motion? Yes, it is my own motion. And in saying so, you say, I approved nothing. And that is not factual, just to say the least. If you go through the motion 11 grounds, and you look at each grounds, most of the grounds have sub-grounds. And you will see we have given clear evidence in many, many of them. Incidences where we have been able to admit, like for example on the tea issue and on the Sacco, Madeira Sacco, that by the time of presenting the motion I had not gathered evidence and the rules do not permit that I present new evidence. I have conceded, but only on those two. That does not mean that I have not proved anything. I have actually proved most of the grounds. So I would be urging my senator for Kitui to also be fair to my case and find that even if only one ground is proved, to also vote for the approval. Because one of the videos that I presented before this House is a speech by the Deputy President at AIC Kitui,
Two more minutes.
Which I believe the senator represents. And in that video, you will see the Deputy President telling the people of Kitui, kwamba nyinyi Wakamba hamuna shares. Hata napigana na huyu rais sana, kwa nini anawapatia viti katika serikali? Those are the people that Senator Enoch represents, who the Deputy President told them they do not have a right to be in cabinet. In terms of the oath of office, and it was done right in Kitui town. In terms of oath of office, diligently serve the people of Kenya. Yes, and that is where the problem is. You sought to serve the people of Kenya, not the people of a region. That's where the problem is. Senator Veronica, charges of money laundering. I am not aware of any ongoing proceedings in respect of the DP in terms of money laundering, but I'm aware of that the Justice Maina decision has not been annulled on merit and therefore still remains good law. Senator Ledana Olekina, that was to the DP's lawyers. Senator Methu, my good friend, Nyandarua County Dairy, I concede I have not presented evidence on Nyandarua County Dairy because, of course, of the limited timelines in terms of working on this. NCIC complaining about, the question was whether there has been any complaint to NCIC about the Deputy President's remarks. I wouldn't know because I don't work for NCIC. I wouldn't know, just to be fair. Kuruwitu and CR12, Kuruwitu was bought at 250 million, money that has not been disclosed, its source. And the owners of Kuruwitu is Vipingo Ridge, and we have also demonstrated who are the owners of Vipingo Ridge. You know, money laundering, you hide, it is a web. That's why it has become very difficult sometimes even to investigate money laundering. And there is no dispute that the two sons of His Excellency Riggy GACHAGUA are directors of that company. That has not been disputed. Senator Asigi, where we are using the Oxford Dictionary and not Black's Law Dictionary, law has now also delved to the place of the common citizens also to understand what it is and not the jargon of the past. And so Oxford Dictionary also offers plain English definitions, and we thought it is also good to use plain English definition because not all of us are lawyers. I do not think that it is disputed that the definition we have given is wrong in terms of what constitutes gross misconduct. Senator Karungo, my very good friend also, tribal, speaking in tribal language in Kikuyu, and whether that is not permitted under Article 7, Article 27, Article 44. Clearly, the Deputy President is a state officer and has taken oath to promote national unity. Nairobi is our capital city. All communities are here. It cannot be said that Nairobi belongs to the Akamba, much as we border here, or the Luya, or the Kikuyu. When you speak in Nairobi, you must be sensitive. It is just like speaking in Senate in mother tongue. Shares and company. Clearly, my answer and response is we are not, the Deputy President has talked about Kenya is a company for shareholders. He did not say that Kenya is led by Kenya Kwanza coalition, a political coalition of shareholders. So let us not twist facts. This is an afterthought. There has never been anywhere where the Deputy President said, naongea kuhusu Kenya Kwanza coalition. He has been consistent. Kenya is a company and it will benefit its shareholders. So the coalition agreements that have been adduced before you are an afterthought, are just a diversion, in my view. Access documents. How did I access these documents, including accounts? I got the services of whistleblowers when people knew that I want to do this. I got the services, I got a lot of information from whistleblowers whom I do not intend to disclose their identity because they are protected under the Witness Protection Act. Honorable Kajwang, my counsel will be talking about the issue of Brobika and how it is, that particular director is related, is connected, is linked, the nexus between that particular director and His Excellency, the GACHAGUA. In terms of agriculture, I did admit I did not present evidence in terms of his sabotaging of the tea, much as I have information, but I leave it at that we have not presented adequate evidence in terms of sabotaging. But Kenyans would know that that role is domiciled in his office, and the price for tea has not become any better. In fact, it is still oscillating up and down. The cooperative society, I also considered, we have not presented evidence. Senator Ogwoka, the question was to the DP's legal team. Senator Omogeni, page 15, paragraph 41, whether I can tabulate, and during our closing remarks, we'll be able to...
Conclude. Your 2 minutes actually.
We'll be at our concluding remarks, we'll be able to answer this question, but just for your information, the land acquired through Amunyoro Investments is 1.5 billion. The Abadeas, when we added, came to about 1 billion shillings. When you add Kuruwitu, 250 million, and others that will be showing 412 million for Olive Gardens, they will all come to the figure that we are talking, or thereabout.
Now allow your
Thank
legal
you.
team to respond to the questions directed to them. If at all there are any questions directed to you.
Mr. Speaker, I believe the question was about whether there has been a complaint with regard to ground 8, any report to the relevant authorities. I believe there was a related question on whether has been subjected to any prosecution for money laundering or related offenses. We are not aware of any complaint under Section 132 of the Penal Code to the police or any other relevant authority. Equally, we are not aware of any prosecution that the DP has been subjected to, but in our opening and closing we'll be showing you it is immaterial whether there has been such a complaint, whether there has been such a prosecution, because when we get there, we'll be showing you the Supreme Court has said times without number, the Court of Appeal has said times without number. The re-impeachment is about political hygiene, it is about political responsibility, it is not about whether there is criminal liability or whether there is civil liability. And we'll be hoping we can persuade with lots of humility that nothing turns on whether, as a matter of fact, complaints have been launched or prosecutions have ensued, and those are not my words. They are the words of our Supreme Court, as I said, not once or twice, but several times. Thank you.
The legal team of the Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I will speak to the questions on the shareholder question. Honorable members, please permit me to answer this in omnibus, but I'll attempt to do my level best on this. The first question was, why is the President relevant in these proceedings as regards shareholders? He's relevant in two capacities, three actually. Number one, under the Constitution, the Deputy President assists the President. And so when the President tells the people of Murang'a and elsewhere that they're the biggest shareholders of government, when he signs a contract that founds the government, the Deputy President is bound to assist the President in moving that shareholder issue. That's number one. Number two, the Article 73, Subarticle 2, Subarticle C, Roman numeral 1, talks about honesty being a foundation principle for leadership. It is well known, I think I can say it here, my client, the Deputy President, is known as the truthful man. It is pursuant to this that he is truthful. Number three, a contract and covenants in a contract must be performed if indeed any government, any contractor worthy of their name, worthy of their signature is to be believed in the future. The President, the party leaders all signed these contracts with the intention that they should be complied with. You will note that in the sections we read out for you here today, the Deputy President is insisting that the promises made to the people of Western Kenya should be complied with to the letter. The promises made to the people of Coast in an agreement should be complied with to the letter. Equally, all other regions that had agreements signed or promises made in these coalition agreements ought to have those promises implemented. That is the basis upon which he says it is important that we keep our words. Fourthly, the coalition agreements were in fact executed. The President and the Deputy President came from UDA as the agreement said. The Speaker of the National Assembly came from Ford Kenya as promised in the agreement. The Speaker of this Honorable House and a learned friend and colleague was in fact elected as the Speaker of this House. And all the other promises that had been made were being implemented. But more importantly, as a matter of law, agreements that underpin coalition building are actually a legal consequence. They draw their force from the law. And I think Honorable Mutuse here mentioned it broadly, but I can tell you exactly where it is. Schedule 3 of the Political Parties Act requires every coalition to draw a coalition agreement. That is number one. Number two, it prescribes what is to go in that agreement. Among the things that the Political Parties Act Schedule 3 prescribes must be in the agreement is the sharing of power and responsibilities. So it's a matter of the law. And if when the honorable members here retire, you will find that Article 108 of the Constitution delineates power in both the National Assembly and in the Senate on the basis of coalition agreements and who has the majority, who is the largest shareholder, if you will, in each of those two houses. Fourthly, or fifthly, I think it is now, I think we said this before, the deputy president had no power to appoint or implement any of those things. All he could do was speak to the agreements that had been signed by the party leaders, and that's all he was doing. He was expressing what was in the agreements and saying we ought to keep our word, we ought to do what we promised in these documents which we filed at the Registrar of Political Parties. Sixthly, in the statements that were read to you in the videos, there are two things to note. Number one, the deputy president is talking about government. He's very clear. He doesn't say the nation. He doesn't say the national cake. He doesn't say resources. He says, just to read for you one example, at page 6 of 85, a government is like a company, government. He's not talking about resources, he's talking about government, and that's all it was. It is important for members to remember, to recall, that these provisions of the law I am sharing with you here followed the famous, or should I say infamous, NAC MOU, which became very litigious. I had the privilege of participating in that case. The famous NAC MOU was set aside because it had no anchoring in law. That was corrected, and that is what these agreements are about. Seventhly, and I think I'll combine this with, although I'll come back to that later, but the deputy president, in the videos, when you listen to them correctly, says the president needs to work with people who believe in his policy, who believe in his manifesto, who will implement what he had in mind when he campaigned on a specific platform. That's all he's saying. And it's very simple. If you don't believe in my policies, if you don't believe in my manifesto, how are you going to be the one I appoint to implement that? It wasn't about tribes. It was about manifesto, it was about policy, it was about specific issues set out in agreements. Now, political rhetoric might use certain words. Politicians use all manner of words. The party I represented in the last election was called Mganga many times in the campaign trail. But we know he's not a Mganga, you know? So, but it's political talk. Number 8, these agreements were not limited to Kenya Kwanza, as I said, because they're part of the law. The government that preceded Kenya Kwanza, Jubilee, had similar agreements deposited with the Registrar of Political Parties. Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya, had a similar agreement. It's only that they never got to power, but they had a similar agreement. And the reason for this is that even internationally, these agreements are known as power-sharing agreements. There's no magic to it. That's what elections are about the division of power. That's what it is about. And because of that, these agreements, in fact, do the opposite of what Honorable Mutuse is saying they did. He says they cause disunity. In fact, they are a source of unity when the diverse sectors of the Kenyan society can get together. For example, Kenya Kwanza, I think, had 16 or so parties. Azimio had 25. The different characteristics of Kenyan society are captured in all those parties. That's what coalition building is all about. And it not only works at national level, even at the devolved level, we have what are called negotiated democracy agreements, like these ones, which take into account clans and that sort of thing. Now, my learned friend, my good and learned friend, Mr. Sifuna, asked a question about what happens to the others who are not mentioned in these agreements. We have a practical example. Members of his party, ODM, are now in government. The party, the contracts left room for accommodation. My good friend,
order. You cannot raise a point of order on the council. You cannot. Council, you have 3 minutes to conclude.
Thank you. I just wanted to set the point that the agreements were dynamic, that politics is dynamic, that these things have a way of settling themselves, and they do. The next point I wish to say, I cannot say, I think he asked me the question about, for example, the constitution requiring PSs and others to be advertised. I cannot speak to how Kenya Kwanza intended to implement that, but like I've demonstrated, it was implemented. They found a way to do it. I don't know how they did it, but we're just speaking to what they did. Honorable Stuart Mazayo asked a question about Chakula Kikiva. You will note that a lot of the videos that were played here today were made in Nandi or in Kericho. There was a very specific reason for that, and the Deputy President himself will be addressing that question today. The only other thing I can tell you about those videos is that whenever the Deputy President raises that question, either in Nandi or in Kericho, he is cheered wildly. It is a very popular issue in those two counties. Finally, I think to a question that was asked about how Honorable Mutuse and others would feel, even regions that did not overwhelmingly vote for Kenya Kwanza, including, for example, Machakos, Makueni, and Kitui, actually got 2 cabinet secretaries in the cabinet in the fullness of time. And so no one was actually discriminated against. This was not about tribes. I think the confusion has been brought about by Mutuse's motion. This was about sharing of government and those who believed in the policies of this government. I hope I have attempted to address all the questions you have raised.
Conclude by responding to Senator Olekina's consent issue.
Sorry, Your Senator.
Issue.
If you could remind me the question, I'm sorry.
The consent.
The consent is being addressed by my good and learned friend, Mr. Elisha Boya.
Yes, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, distinguished senators. The distinguished senator for Narok County has asked succinct questions. Number one, if you look at the petition claimed 2 things. That number one, the Deputy Chief Justice has no respect for the judiciary, which is why he made the allegations that he made against Justice Esther Maina. And number 2, that the Deputy President, my apologies, lied when he said he was going to file a complaint before the JSC. So you respond to the motion as presented. Now, to respond to that, there was no necessity to file this consent because the consent does not address itself to the claim by the DP that is going to file a complaint against the judge. What had then happened, distinguished senator, is that the witness came here and then began taking this court through the judgment of Maina. Now it's altering the claim as presented in the motion, which is why we had now to take him through the issue of the consent. Now that addresses, and so we have not presented the consent before this Senate because the motion as framed did not require the consent to respond to it. But having said that, my learned colleague, the mover of the motion, makes a false statement that a consent does not determine the merits of the matter. In fact, a consent determines the merits of the matter. When you enter a consent and say that the judgment that was rendered by the trial court, you are entering a consent to state a different state of affairs. You are actually vacating that judgment. The trial court had taken the money in question from the DP to the Asset Recovery Agency. The consent took the money from the Asset Recovery Agency back to the DP. That is the substance of the matter. So, the argument by the mover of the motion before you that a consent does not settle the matter on the merits is law upside down. Law upright is that a consent settles the merits of the matter that it addresses. Thank you so much.
Now, honorable senators, can I get an indication from Council for the National Assembly? How many witnesses do you intend to call beyond Honorable Mutuse?
Mr. Speaker, we have 3 more witnesses, and while on it, at the point we stopped examining the Honorable Mutuse, you said we had 45 minutes.
Yes, you have.
But when I went there, you said 40, so we were a bit alarmed.
No, you have 45 minutes.
Much obliged.
And the team for the Deputy President, you've exhausted your time, but there was 10 minutes that has been occasioned by the technicality on the videos. So you need to utilize that with the remaining 3 witnesses. Now, Honorable Senators, Honorable Mutuse is not going to leave. You're going to stay on as we hear the 3 witnesses, and then if the other clarifications that Honorable Senators wish to direct to you, please be available. Kindly usher in the second witness.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, we as counsel for the Deputy President would wish to borrow from our time tomorrow, the time you allocated, so that we can be able to effectively cross-examine the witnesses that the National Assembly is going to call now. We don't want to go outside our time, but we need
How much time do you want to borrow from your tomorrow's time?
1 hour.
Keeping in mind that we are rising by midnight.
1 hour will be adequate from the 3 hours we have tomorrow.
We'll overshoot the runway. 1 hour is a bit too much. We will go beyond midnight.
30 minutes?
Yes. Very well. Quickly swear in the witness.
I'm a Christian. English. Right hand.
I, Dr. Andrew Mulwa, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before the Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Sir, would you tell the Senate who you are and your professional background?
My name is Dr. Andrew Mulwa, a medical doctor by profession, working in the Ministry of Health, and previously working the acting CEO, Kenya Medical Supplies Agency, KEMSA.
Please confirm whether you're the one that saw the affidavit on page 67 of volume 1.
Yes, I am.
In respect of which allegation in the motion did you swear this affidavit?
I have sworn affidavit on issues raised on paragraph 45J, 78C, in ground 7 and 11 of the motion for removal of the office by impeachment of His Excellency, the Deputy President, Riggy GACHAGUA.
Paragraph 78 of the motion, what does it say? 78A, that would be page 37 of 85.
To illustrate, His Excellency Riggy GACHAGUA bullied Kenya Medical Supplies Agency officials into awarding a tender for the supply of mosquito nets to Crystal Limited, his proxy company. Crystal Limited had submitted, here it's written, a fake bid document with the sole intention to fraudulently acquire public property.
Dr. Muller, was Crystal Did Christo submit a tender in this procurement for the mosquito nets?
Christo did not submit a tender for this procurement, but was the local agent for a company called Shapika Impex Limited, which submitted bids, and part of the local documents, like the pesticide control board certificates, were actually submitted by Christo in the tender document.
So Christo was actually the one submitting the bids?
There was a reference of Christo in some of the local documents that the bidder had to submit.
I want to refer you to volume 8A of the Assembly's document, page 18 of 19. Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
What is the title of that letter?
It's appointment as local agent for Duranet LLIN in Kenya.
This Duranet, is it the mosquito net that was being procured? Or is it a different one?
Duranet was a company that initially used to do that which changed to Shobika, and I think in this letter it is Shobika writing to confirm that they have appointed Christo as their sole local agent in the country.
What does it say in the second paragraph?
We are pleased to appoint Christo Kenya Limited at State House Avenue, Liason House, 3rd floor, of PO Box given in Nairobi, Kenya, as our exclusive agents in Kenya for promotion, marketing, and sales of Duranet long-lasting insecticide nets manufactured by Shobika Impex.
Page 17 of that document, what does the second paragraph say?
There was a change of ownership for Duranet LL9.
Read it loud.
And there's change of ownership for Duranet LLIN, which is alpha cypermethrin 0.55%, WW registration number PCB CR 0189.
I'm referring to volume 8A, page 17. What does the second paragraph of that letter say? Can you read it in full?
We have taken note of the change in ownership of Duranet LN9 from Clark Mosquito Control of USA to Shobika Impex Private Limited, India, and appointment of new agent, Christo Kenya Limited.
The documents we have so far read in volume 8A, sir, do they show a link between Shobika and Christo Limited?
Yes.
Is Christo Limited, to the best of your knowledge, connected to the Deputy President?
From my affidavit, I did not know initially that there was a connection.
Yes.
But through a phone call from His Excellency the Deputy President and conversations between myself and his son.
We'll come to those phone calls and conversations, but for now,
I was able to establish that there is a connection.
There is a connection. Let's go to page 10 of 19 of volume 8A. Who has authored that letter? Page 10 of 19.
Page 10 of 19 is a letter from Ethics and Corruption Commission to myself as the acting CEO, dated 21st of August 2023.
Is this a body that would authoritatively speak to matters of corruption in public procurement?
Yes, it is.
Is it authorized to investigate such matters?
To the best of my knowledge, yes.
Now, this letter, what was the letter asking you to do at page 10 of 19?
The letter was giving recommendations for administrative action against procurement officers, Cosmas Rotich, Anton Chege, and Karen Mugo, who are officers working in KEMSA and participated in the procurement of the mosquito nets.
Towards the bottom of that letter, Roman 1, what does the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission tell you?
It says, and I read, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Technical Evaluation Committee, here abbreviated TEC, recommended the award of tender to Shobika Impex Private Limited, yet their bid was paginated in pencil and what was not sequentially paginated contrary to instructions to tenderers, clause 20.3, which provided documents to be paginated using indelible ink and marked sequentially.
Does that paragraph you just read show there was corruption or wrongdoing of any type in processing this tender?
It does, Honorable Speaker.
And who was benefiting from this manipulation of the tender?
Shobika.
Is that the same company that the Deputy President's company, Christo, is the local agent?
Yes.
Given those series of events, would it be fair for anyone to suggest the Deputy President did not have a hand in the procurement irregularities for this tender?
I think I would say Shobika,
yes,
was irregularly been recommended for award of a tender without meeting the set criteria.
Would you say it's just coincidental, sir, that a company connected to the Deputy President was awarded a 3.7 billion tender?
I was not in KEMSA at the time, and I would imagine that KEMSA being a procurement entity whose core function is to procure,
yes,
the technical teams would have a proper understanding of procurement procedures and therefore would not make such, would not recommend award of a tender to a company where they are glaring failure to meet the criteria.
Given the contents of your affidavit and the phone calls will come to from the Deputy President at this sense, would it be fair for anyone to suggest this matter in page 10 was just another coincidence that the company irregularly awarded the tender was one connected to the Deputy President?
I don't think it would be.
You don't think it would be fair?
Don't think it would be a coincidence.
It is not a coincidence. In your estimation, say, would a fair-minded person faced with the facts you have so far taken us through think it was a coincidence that a company linked to the Deputy President of the Republic was irregularly awarded a tender for 3.7 billion?
The Speaker, Honorable Senators, I think having had the advantage of interacting with the documents that are before us, I think I would say from the record, the bid bond that is being referred here was delivered as a mail and not as part of the tender document.
Page 8 of 19 of still volume 8A, towards the bottom, Roman 1 again, does it show yet another irregularity involving this Shobika Impex, the company linked to the Deputy President?
Which page, Council?
That would be page 8 of 19, Roman 1 towards the bottom. Does it disclose another procurement irregularity besides the one we saw on the other page?
Here it says, and this is the letter from Ethics and Corruption Commission, that the Director Procurement interacted with the bid security for Shobika Impex Private Limited on the 24th of February 2023, prior to the tender opening date, which was on the 10th of March 2023, contrary to tender instructions for tenderers number 21.3.
Please confirm whether the Deputy President in his public address on the 7th confirmed to the Republic that he placed phone calls to you with regard to this tender.
Yes, he did. And in my affidavit, I've as well alluded to the same, that he called me to follow up on the release of the bid board.
Do the duties of the Deputy President of the Republic extend to placing calls on junior government officers about tenders?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
But did the Deputy President also admit in that public address that his son equally called you?
Yes, he did.
Are those the phone calls alluded to in paragraph 4 of your affidavit?
Yes.
You have also said, besides the phone calls, the son of the Deputy President sent you WhatsApp messages. Have you annexed any of those WhatsApp messages?
Yes, I have. In my affidavit, page 70 of 85.
In those affidavits, in that page 70, who is the person indicated as sending you the message?
Dr. Ikini Riggy.
Who does he say he is contacting you on behalf of?
He tells me that he's contacting me. He asked me to contact him when possible. There is a document for His Excellency that he's trying to collect.
Was this document in your possession?
Which was investigating the anomalies of the procurement of the LLINs.
So the Deputy President and his son are pressuring you to surrender a procurement document under active investigation by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission.
Yes, Your Honor.
Would that be interfering with active criminal investigations?
From where I sat as acting CEO, I felt pressured because the documents were not within our custody, and had to actually make effort to follow up with the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission for the documents to be released back.
Have you placed any evidence before the Senate to confirm these documents the Deputy President and his sons who are harassing you to surrender were actually under the custody of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission?
Yes, I have submitted my letter to the CEO, Ethics and Corruption Commission, asking for the bid board documents for Shobika.
We have
at page 73 of 85.
Page 73 of 85.
Yes.
Can you read the relevant part, which I believe it's 72 of 85, Mr. Speaker, of volume 1, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, 72.
Can you read that paragraph? What does it say?
This one that I wrote to Ethics and Corruption is actually 73.
Okay.
72 I had written to Shobika.
Yes.
Telling
Let's
them
begin with 72. What did you?
Ethics and Corruption Commission for the bid bond for Shobika Impex Private Limited for the malaria net tender, which I had requested, that I had informed him of the letter that we had received from Shobika, requesting for the bid bond.
Sir, given the magnitude of this tender and the national crisis it stoked, would anyone expect the Deputy President, when he was harassing you, to know that the matter was under investigation and active investigation for that matter?
I want to believe so.
Lastly, sir, claims have been made on this floor that the allegations against the Deputy President transcend the force to the ridiculous to the embarrassing. This material you have taken is it consistent with the narrative that ground 11 of this motion is false, ridiculous, and embarrassing?
Through the Speaker, Honorable Senators, what I've presented before this House is the truth, nothing but the truth, and verifiable by document presented.
I want you lastly to read from your paragraph what you told the National Assembly bringing us here. Can you read paragraph 6 of your affidavit, sir? That is page 69 of 85 of volume 1, Mr. Speaker.
It says, given the status, power, threat, and influence of the people involved in the interference with the investigations and cover of irregularities surrounding the procurement of treated mosquito nets, I was constrained to surrender the original bid bond to Ogora Wilson Okulo. And in short, I was caught in a tricky situation. Being a junior, there was nothing I could do as a junior government officer against a sitting deputy president for the Republic of Kenya.
That's all for purposes of the examination in chief of this witness, Mr. Speaker.
Counsel for the deputy president.
Good evening, Mr. Mulwa.
Good evening.
My name is Dewanjiro. I will be asking you several questions in respect to the testimony that you have just delivered. When did you join the KEMSA?
I joined KEMSA on the 17th of March 2023.
Before that, who was the CEO of the organization?
Terry Ramadan.
Terry. Were you there as and when the alleged tender processes were taking place?
No.
Who was in charge of that process as at then?
Terry Ramadan.
Terry Ramadan. Therefore, the issues that you are testifying before this assembly, are they issues that you saw, perceived, or they are issues that you are told?
One, there are issues that
were you told or you saw?
It's
a simple question.
I was not told.
Yes.
Neither did I see.
At what process you are not told and neither you never saw?
I was involved.
You were involved? At the time you joined the organization, what stage of the tendering process was it?
The tender had just been terminated. There were investigations.
The tender had been terminated?
Yes.
You therefore never participated in that particular process whatsoever, for whatever purpose, yes?
I participated in a very big way.
All right. Would you then lead this assembly to understanding your participation in that tender?
This matter was a matter that, one,
what exactly did you do that relates to this tender?
I participated in the investigations on this tender.
So you participated, excuse me?
By PPRA, by the Senate, by the National Assembly.
But at the time when the bids were alive, the bidding was alive, you had not joined.
I was not in KEMSA.
And therefore the issues you're testifying before this assembly are not issues that you witnessed.
Not issues that I executed.
Thank you. Now, what was the status of the tender at the time you came or you joined?
I actually joined KEMSA as a result of this tender.
No, I'm not asking why you joined. What was the status?
The tender had been terminated.
The tender had been terminated. Do you know of any company that is associated with the deputy president that succeeded in this particular tendering process?
For purposes of...
You know or you do not know?
Yes, Shobika had been recommended for award, but since it was cancelled, did not proceed.
Was the award granted to Shobika?
No.
Do you know why the award was not granted?
Yes, I know.
Yes?
Because Global Fund do a pre-award review of every evaluation of Global Fund funded tenders, and after doing a pre-award review, they did not agree with the technical evaluation committee that had evaluated the tender and recommended for cancellation of the tender.
Thank you. You've answered. So it's as a result of the review of all the bids that culminated into the cancellation of the tender, correct?
Yes.
And how many companies had bidded in that particular process?
I cannot remember, but maybe 9 or 7, I cannot remember.
You cannot remember because you never participated, yes? Yes or no, Mr. Witness?
If I get the record, I would remember.
And so show him the records.
Okay,
he has it. Show him his affidavit in volume 1. In that volume 1, that is at page, Honorable Senators, the National Assembly volume 1, at page 67 and 68. Did you indicate the companies that participated in that process?
I did not indicate the companies that...
You chose to conveniently refuse to indicate them, correct? Correct or not correct? I don't need an explanation.
Not correct.
Why didn't you indicate the companies that participated in that particular process?
My affidavit...
Your affidavit has explained it.
My affidavit is premised on...
Okay, I know your affidavit.
Yes.
I have read it several times, but my question is very specific. Why did you leave out the other companies that participated in the process?
For purposes of my affidavit, I did not find it necessary to...
Never thought it necessary. Now, confirm that Shobika company was never ever awarded the tender.
The tender was cancelled.
Tender was cancelled. Did the Republic of Kenya lose any money as a result of the award not being granted to Shobika?
Yes, it did.
Did the Deputy President have anything to do with it? Did the Deputy President have anything to do with it?
I wouldn't say the Deputy President.
I'm asking, you know, we are here because of the Deputy President. Did he have anything to do with it?
A company related to
I'm asking, did he have anything to do with it? It's a simple question. Yes or no?
I already have...
Yes, and you'll furnish me with an answer.
I've said yes, because the company that is associated with him had been irregularly awarded.
Had been irregularly awarded. Do you know that this matter was subject of investigation by Parliament?
Yes, I am.
Did you participate in that investigation?
Yes.
Honorable Senators, refer with me to page 183, volume 3 of the Deputy President's bundle. Volume 3, Honorable Senators. That is the report. Will go with me to page 220. At page 220, Mr. Witness.
Can I get the document?
Give him something. Give him the copy. You can get volume 3 for him. Volume 3. Page 220. Can you see, confirm that those were the companies that participated in that particular tender, yes?
17 bidders.
At page 220.
Yes, there are some 17 bidders.
How many are they?
17.
Go to page 221 and you read, can you see where it is written 100?
Yes.
Can you read out that statement?
In its report dated 25th April 2023, Global Fund noted that KEMSA had failed to apply evaluation criteria consistently to all bidders and that none of the bidders met the minimum requirements.
None of the bidders met the minimum?
Requirements.
How many bidders did not meet the minimum requirement?
For purposes of this report, what the Global Fund is talking about are the 17.
All the 17. And therefore Shobika was not an exception, correct? Shobika was not an exception. It never qualified, correct?
Yes.
Now, look at where we have at paragraph 105. Yes, can you see where we have Roman B? So we have B. Can you see B? 105, paragraph 105B. Yes, can you read what B says?
The Global Fund document reported that the bid bond for Shobika Impex was not paginated, and the management of KEMSA argued that the bid bond was not part of the bid, but was rather an accompaniment.
What is that? What does that mean?
I think
not thinking, reading and understanding.
It means, and I had said exactly the same, that this document was not submitted as part of the tender document, but was brought in as ordinary mail, while in normal procurement, bid documents should be part of the procurement.
Can you go to page 222 and look at paragraph 106?
Notwithstanding KEMSA reservation, in the letter dated 4th May, the acting director procurement recommended the termination of a process.
Yes?
The CEO approved on the 5th, and termination was communicated to all the bidders.
So there was a termination of the bidding process, correct?
Yes.
As a result of non-responsiveness of all the bids, correct? As a result of non-responsiveness.
Yes, after Global Fund differed with the KEMSA Technical Evaluation Committee.
Did the Deputy President have anything to do with that?
I would not say.
Would you associate that to the Deputy President?
I am not competent to talk about that.
I am asking, do you associate that process with the Deputy President?
I cannot comment on that.
You will comment. Do you associate
because
that?
I don't know.
Here we are not in a hospital. We are in a court seeking to save the life of a man you want to be impeached. Do you associate that with the Deputy President?
I am saying I don't know.
What don't you know?
Whether this has everything to do with the Deputy President. Because the bids were terminated by Global Fund as a result of irregular evaluation.
Irregular evaluation of how many companies?
Of 17.
17 companies. Yes. Thank you. Look at paragraphs 107 at page 22 once again. Yes? 107?
It says it was further a testimony that the authority had struggled to maintain autonomy owing to undue interference from the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
Whose testimony is this?
I don't know.
Read paragraph, go to page 219. Page 219. Can you see where you have C, submissions by Ms. Terry Ramathani?
Yes.
Therefore, this is our statement, correct?
And I would not say whether they are correct or not.
Read, Mr. Witness.
They are Terry Ramathani.
So we understand who is now speaking at paragraph 17, correct?
Yes.
Read it then.
It was further the testimony that the authority had struggled to maintain autonomy owing to undue interference from the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
The authority had failed to maintain autonomy due to the interferences by?
Yes, that is Terry's statement.
Read it.
By the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
Have you seen any interference that indicates that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya interfered with the process?
I have not.
From the report?
And I cannot own or disown.
I'm asking.
It's not my statement.
Have you seen that statement speaking to the person of the Deputy President?
It is not.
Thank you.
Not mine.
And it speaks as to who was interfering with the processes, correct?
That's not my statement.
Read.
But it's not mine.
Yeah, I know it's not yours. That's
so I cannot own a statement that is not mine.
I have not asked you to own it. I've asked you a simple thing, to read the statement as indicated. Who was interfering with the processes and the autonomy of KEMSA? According to that statement.
According to the statement, the Cabinet Secretary for Health.
What is the name of that Cabinet Secretary? As at then?
Not indicated.
Let's proceed as I finish up. Let's go to page 226. At paragraph 136, what is the Assembly's Parliament saying?
In the late April.
In the late April?
He learned from the Global Fund, pre-award.
Who learned?
I don't know.
Look at the submissions at page 225.
Myself.
Who learned?
The acting CEO, which is me.
Who was that?
Me.
What did you learn?
I learned in late April that the Global Fund pre-award review report that the airlines tender was to be cancelled on account of inconsistencies in the bid evaluation.
Do you still maintain the position that you gave, or you want to?
It's exactly what I said.
That's exactly what you say.
Yes.
And therefore that does not link or has no nexus with the Deputy President whatsoever, correct?
I think you are wrong.
What did you say?
You are not right on that one.
Read, what does the statement say? What did you say? What did you say in Parliament?
It says the Global Fund pre-award review that airline tender was to be cancelled on account of inconsistencies in the evaluation. It is the inconsistencies in evaluation that recommended an award to a bidder that had not paginated documents, which was a mandatory requirement.
I have not asked you that question that you are attempting to answer. I have just simply asked you to read what you stated before Parliament. Then a question will follow. And you read in verbatim.
I have read?
Yes, read it again.
I learned that the Global Fund pre-award review report that the airline tender was to be cancelled on account of inconsistencies in the bid evaluation. And
what was the reason for the cancellation?
Inconsistencies in evaluation.
In evaluation?
Yes.
Who was evaluating that tender?
Technical Evaluation Committee.
Does the Deputy President sit in that tender committee for evaluation?
He doesn't.
Was he involved? Okay, let's look at paragraph 38. Yes? Again, what are you saying at paragraph 138?
138 says, he further maintained that the advisory to the PS, State Department of Public Health and Professional Study, on the alleged inconsistency in the technical specification neither passed through his office or the head of department for the strategic programs, health programs, but was forwarded directly to the PS by one Dr. Omar, the head of malaria program.
Mr. Witness, you are aware why we are here, yes?
Yes, I am.
Do you understand the charge in respect to this matter that the Deputy President is facing?
I am here to...
Do you understand?
I understand.
You understand that you allege that you are intimidated and bullied by the Deputy President, correct?
Yes, I understand.
And that is contained in your evidence, correct?
Yes.
Why were you being bullied, if at all it ever happened?
I want to believe.
Not to believe. We are not dealing with beliefs here.
Okay.
We are dealing with the facts.
I was bullied to submit bid document for Shobika.
When was the tender cancelled?
In late April.
In late April. As at that time, had you joined KEMSA?
I had not.
You had not joined. When were you purportedly called by the Deputy President?
In August.
In August. At that time, was the tender alive or it had been cancelled?
Yeah.
At that time, was the tender alive or it had been cancelled? What happens upon the cancellation of a tender to bidders who had submitted their documents?
Bid books are returned.
Bid books are returned.
As a routine process.
As a routine process. Therefore, it is normal for somebody, a company that has bidded, to make follow-ups with the bids, correct?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And that the following of those bids for purposes of returning them to their rightful owner does not violate the Public Procurement and Disposal Act, correct?
I was in KEMSA.
Does not violate, Mr. Witness.
Does not violate.
That's the question. Thank you. Now, Mr. Witness, as I finish, you understand that you wrote several letters that you have annexed in your affidavit, correct?
Yes.
And the first letter is the one that is appearing in volume 1 of the National Assembly's bundle of document at page 70, correct?
Page
70.
70.
Correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
And that is an alleged, what document is that?
These are WhatsApp conversations between myself and Dr. Ikino Rugathi.
Yes?
WhatsApp conversations between myself and Dr. Ikino Rugathi.
How would you ordinarily be able to tell that this conversation has come from this particular platform?
One, this is on
Which platform was this?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Which number is there? And I want you to specifically look.
The number is already saved. That's why it's written Dr. Ikinu. Regardless, because it's already saved on my phone and therefore cannot show the number. If I had not saved the number, you probably would have gotten the number.
When you receive a message from a WhatsApp, when I receive a message on my WhatsApp, when you send me a message, does it indicate the source?
Yes.
Does it also indicate the recipient?
I mean,
does it indicate the recipient?
If the recipient
does it or does it not?
Whether number or saved a contact.
So in these circumstances, where is your number that indicates that you are the recipient of this message?
There is no.
There is none.
Yeah.
And therefore this is a concussion of the truth and a fabrication and a forgery of documents.
I've sworn this under oath. My phone is still with me and can be a basis of law to
What
investigate.
explanations do you give for the lack of your print of the your phone number in this conversation?
This is what...
what explanation do you give?
I am not a techno person, so I cannot configure how my phone displays messages.
But you
and
confirm that this is not usual.
This is what is on my phone. If I give you my phone and I open the conversation, it will appear as it is here.
Did you extract a certificate for this purpose? Was a certificate showing the source of this information extracted?
You will need to clarify. I am a doctor, remember. I don't know what a certificate is.
When you generate a printout from your phone, your advocate is required to certify that this document has been generated or emanated from a particular gadget. Do you see that certificate incorporated in these proceedings?
I said I don't know what that is.
There is none.
Unless my advocate shows.
I therefore put it to you that this never originated from your phone, nor did it originate from my client's son, Dr. Ikinu Riggy.
That's a lie. That's not true.
So what did you find intimidating in this message?
I said, like I said...
Would you read out what the message states?
This is Dr. Ikinu Riggy here. Kindly contact me when possible. There is a document for His Excellency we are trying to collect.
What is Dr. Ikinu telling you?
There is a document he's trying to collect.
How is that intimidating?
As an acting CEO...
How is that intimidating? How did you get intimidated by that statement?
I am the one who received the message, Council. And I am the one who felt intimidated. And I am stating before this Honorable Senate that I felt intimidated.
Okay, let's go to the next paragraph. The next page, page 71. What document is that? And what is it dated?
This is 12th June. Notification for tender for LLINs.
Yes.
12th June 2023 to...
what does the statement read? What's the content of the letter?
Reference is made to the above tender, which we participated in and we were unsuccessful. We wish to collect the original tender documents, the original bid bond for the same tender.
Who is the source of that letter?
Shombika.
Shombika.
Yeah.
And what is he saying?
He's saying, kindly issue the original bid bond to the bearer of this letter.
Was that anything? Is there anything unusual by as an unsuccessful bidder? Again, when is it dated?
30th of June.
What is it? What's the content of the letter?
I am. It's signed by me, Shombika.
Yes.
And I was replying to their letter.
And what are you saying?
And I'm telling them that we want to inform them that the subject tender is under investigation, and all the documents related to the tender are not in our custody, and therefore, I also informed them that we wrote to Ethics and Corruption Commission to release the original bid bond.
Was the tender returned? Was the bid returned?
It was not immediately returned.
Yes. Did you get a communication from the EACC in that respect?
Not immediately.
What did EACC indicate?
They indicated, and that was way later.
Did the EACC return?
They responded. Yes, they responded, but I had to personally follow up.
You had to
after
personally
the calls.
follow up?
Yes.
But was a bid returned?
I personally picked it after the calls.
When you're forwarding the bid to Shobika, in your letter dated the 11th July, can you see that letter?
Yes.
What did you indicate at the footnote?
I indicated that you may, however, be required to provide the same document as and when required.
For what purpose?
I informed them. ESCC had handed over the document.
Have you made an attempt to seek the return of that bid from Shobika?
I am no longer in KEMSA.
You're no longer in KEMSA. Finally, where and what became of your predecessor, Terry Ramathan?
She was discharged from the authority, I think sometimes in...
But you now understand that she's serving as an ambassador in New Delhi, correct?
I cannot confirm.
Do you live in this country?
Yes, I do.
No further questions.
Council for the National Assembly, you may proceed with the re-examination.
Mr. Mulwa, you were referred to certain aspects of the Deputy President's response, and I want to direct you to Volume 6. I believe Volume 6 of the Assembly's documents, Honorable Speaker, beginning at page 10 of 534. Of 534 to page, I believe it ends at page 13. Mr. Mulwa, looking at those pages, that's the Deputy President's response on the allegations that you have come to testify. In that response, has he disputed that he owns the number you claim he used to make phone calls to you?
No.
In that response, has he disputed that his son Ikinu owns the mobile phone that was used to contact you?
No.
If those two numbers don't belong to him and his son, is that a matter we would have expected him to expressly refute in that response?
Yes.
You also shown in his response several companies that participated in that tender, correct or incorrect?
Correct.
As the Deputy President intervened for any of those others except Shobika, which is linked to him?
Not a single one for the whole period that I was in KEMSA, except that one.
Christo?
It's not a coincidence.
As a matter of fact, in that response, I'm trying to open the clause, Mr. Speaker. Clause 4.3 of his response, no, 4.3, on page 11 of 534. What does the Deputy President say in his response to the charge you have come to testify?
I am aware of a foreign company known as Shobika Impex Private Limited, domiciled in India, which appointed Christo Kenya Limited, where my son is a managing director, as its agent in Kenya in 2014. To date, Christo Kenya Limited has complied with agency terms between itself and Shopika Impex Limited. And there is annexed RG 18, an appointment agency letter by Shopika Impex Limited.
Is that an admission by the Deputy President himself that there is a link between Christo, his company, and Shobika?
Yes.
You were asked about the confiscation of the billboard by the EACC. You recall those questions?
Yes.
Was Shobika's the only billboard the EACC was holding?
No.
Which other billboards was it holding?
They were holding all the bid bonds for the 17 companies that had bidded in the tender.
So, in his response, as the Deputy President explained why it was necessary, if all the bid bonds are confiscated, for the one for Shobika to be released.
Not any that I've seen.
Of those 17 companies, which one was recommended for the award of the tender?
Shobika Impex.
Which one was awarded after the cancellation and the repeat?
The tender was cancelled and the procurement was done, was directed
Because we want to object to that line of questioning. That never came in my cross-examination. He's opening new grounds. He has to limit himself to the content of my cross-examination.
Objection overruled. Proceed, Counsel for the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, I even lost my thoughts on during the...
You had asked the procurement. The procurement was done by the Global Fund in Geneva.
Yes.
Through their global system, WAMBO. And the tender was awarded to one of the companies that had bidded, based in Tanzania, I cannot remember the name, and another one from India, I think Yokur or something, through the Global Fund system.
You have been told, sir, that your testimony is a concoction. Is your testimony and your affidavit before this Senate a concoction?
What I have submitted in before this Senate is the truth and supported by documentary support.
Has any basis been laid in the response by the Deputy President or in his cross-examination to warrant the conclusion that you have concocted your testimony?
Not any that I have.
But Daktari, would you have any reason or motivation, remembering your own oath, to concoct lies against the Deputy President of the Republic?
No.
Has any reason been proffered why you would concoct any lie against the Deputy President?
No.
Lastly, sir, has any material been placed on record to show any of the averments in your affidavit is a concoction or inaccurate?
No.
That's all for purposes of re-exam. My colleague will put just one question, then we'll rest this witness. Mawira will do it now that he's next to me.
Mr. Speaker, my name is Boniface Mawira. Doctor, just one question. You asked whether Kenya lost money as a result of that tender cancellation. What is your response? Yes. How did Kenya lose money? KEMSA, as a government agency, gets its revenue from fees charged for procurement, warehousing, and distribution of products that they procure on behalf of partners And for this particular case, KEMSA lost procurement fees, which was coming to about 55 million Kenya shillings. Thank you. That is all for this witness, Mr. Speaker.
Counsel for the National Assembly, are you done with the witness?
No, Mr. Speaker, sir, we still have a further two witnesses.
This particular witness?
Yes, we are done with this particular witness.
Good.
Thank you very much, Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, it is time for you to seek clarification. But have you've noticed we've had such a long day. Now, it has been indicated to me that tomorrow the Deputy President does not intend to call any witness. Is that the position?
Not entirely, not entirely, Honorable Speaker. He is the witness.
Other than him, I mean.
Yes, of course, yes. I just wanted to be clear on the language. Yes, he is the witness.
Because that's what I meant. Meaning, we'll have some latitude tomorrow. You are very tired. The teams are tired. If you can be able to have the two witnesses, that is the main witness, the first witness, and the second witness, for purposes of the senators to seek clarifications first thing in the morning. We clear them, and then we take the two witnesses, and then we hear the Deputy President. There can never be just one, because everyone would wish to talk. And that's what I'm asking. You will have that round tomorrow morning. Senator Fernandi, you will speak, because the witness will be available. The witness will be available. All these two witnesses will be available. So you'll be able, Senator Fernandi, you will be able. Senator Fernandi, when the chair is talking, you keep quiet. You're out of order, Senator Fernandi. And you know exactly what happens when a senator is out of order. Senator Fernandi, Senator Fernandi, when I'm speaking, you keep quiet. I'm cautioning you. And therefore, I direct, as the chair, that tomorrow morning, the honorable senators will have an opportunity to seek clarifications from these two witnesses first, when we resume at 9. Once the honorable senators are done seeking clarification for these two witnesses, then we are going to hear the remaining two witnesses by the National Assembly, and thereafter we'll move to hear the Deputy President. That is the directions. Honorable Senators, it is now 11:12 p.m. time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, the 17th of October, 2024 at 9 a.m.